Hi there, it's Julia from Sunsquare Crafts. Today I'm on the TheAlleyWayStamps YouTube channel to share a card that I created using the absolutely amazing Halloween set Ghoul-Friend. I have personally challenged myself to create as many Halloween cards as I can with this stamp set, and I have quite a few ideas, and I've actually already filmed a few more, so you'll be seeing those coming up in the weeks ahead before Halloween. But for now, let's jump into this card. I'm starting by using 3 colors of Distressing and my mini blending tool. Today I'm using Seedless Preserves, Picked Raspberry, and Spiced Marmalade to create this blended background. I just went back over all of the areas until everything was smooth and blended. Because I knew that, or I kind of pre-planned the layout of this card, I knew that you would see a lot of this background, so I spent a long time making sure that it was blended and it was smooth and it was exactly how I wanted it to look. I just went over each of the areas as many times as it needed, like I said, and so I would sort of switch between blending tools and bring in a little more or cover up as needed. I tried to start fairly dark with that Seedless Preserves at the bottom and then use a lighter touch as I got closer to where I knew I would use the pink because I wanted those colors to blend in nicely. The really cool thing about Distressings is that no matter what colors you use, they usually blend together really well. So even if they aren't like right next to each other on the color spectrum, or you might not necessarily think that they would go well together, because of the way Distressings are formulated, you can easily blend those colors together. Because this is a spooky Halloween card, I knew I needed to add a little bit of razzle dazzle and some spooky effects. So I'm just using my mini mister to mist a little bit of water into my hand, and then I'm dropping that onto the background. Once I'm happy with how that looks, I will dab away the excess water and set that panel aside to dry while I work on the rest of my card project. So the next part is stamping the little spider image from the stamp set, and you got a peek at the Ghoul-Friend stamp set there. There's just so many awesome images in that. I really love it a lot. Anyways, I stamped my spider onto the SVG file that I cut using my Silhouette portrait machine, and that's one of the unique things about the TheAlleyWayStamps is that instead of selling physical dies, they sell the electronic cut files. So they're very inexpensive, and I think they're definitely a must-have when you pick up those stamp sets. I stamped my spider using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I heat embossed it using some clear gloss embossing powder from Wow. Next, I'm going to move on to work on my window frame area. This is a frame that I purchased from the Silhouette design store. I don't typically do that. Usually I sort of create my own. In this case, I purchased it and then I'm going to add a few details. So before I cut it, I added that stitch detail that you can see around all of those windows. And then I am adding some detail with some thin strips of paper that I trimmed using my paper trimmer, and I'm just adhering those down. I'm not sure why I did this, but for some reason when I was creating the project, I cut the strips just slightly shorter than the window, and I'm not even sure if you can see that in the video, but if I were going to recreate this card, I would definitely bring those right to the end of that shape, just so that it looked more like a molding, which is what I originally envisioned, and I really don't know why I cut those shorter, but anyways, I'm moving on with my project. I wanted to create this wriggly little spider crawling down from his spider web, so I'm going to use a small clear foam square to adhere down a piece of gray string to the back of my spider. The reason I'm doing this is because I know that I'm going to pop up that window frame, and I wanted it to lay fairly flat. I won't remove the backing from that though, so that when I finish my card, the spider still moves around and can crawl back up to his spider web. I also just found it easiest to use that foam square to actually adhere down the string directly to the spider, and so I'm doing the same thing just with a larger clear foam square on the top of that frame. I'll use the same foam squares and put those all around the edges when I am ready to put together my card. Before I do that, I need to stamp and emboss my spider web. Again, this is a stamp that comes in the Ghoul-Friend stamp set, so I just used a pencil to mark off where my window frame would be so that I knew where to stamp it, and then I'll mask off the areas that go outside that frame so that I don't accidentally stamp too far. And then I will use Versa Fine Onyx Black ink to again stamp down that spider web. When I'm heat embossing black, I prefer to stamp in black and then emboss using clear embossing powder rather than using a clear ink and embossing with black powder, just because I find the black powder is kind of fussy and I don't always get the best results. So for me, I just use this VersaFine ink that leaves a crisp impression and then my glossy Wow embossing powder. You can see I'm just kind of positioning this how I like it. I wanted to make sure that it kind of looked like the spider web was stuck above coming down into the window, and you'll see what I mean when the card is assembled. But I just stamp that onto the card and then I will sprinkle on my embossing powder and zap that with my heat tool. Now I'm ready to assemble my card. I also stamped that little boo greeting that comes in the same stamp set and heat embossed that again with my clear embossing powder. To assemble the frame, like I mentioned, I used more of those clear foam squares. I removed the backing already, so it's all ready to be stuck down, and I'm just positioning that so that it's fairly centered in the card. I just wanted to make sure that everything was straight, so that's why you saw me lift it up a couple times. That's for the card for today. I hope that I've inspired you to use this absolutely amazing stamp set from the Alleyway Stamps. I will be back again next week with another how-to video, and in the meantime, take care, and I'll see you back here again soon. Thanks so much. Bye!